Welcome back, traders. You guys know where you're at. Start swing trading, and boy, am I having a day. I'm excited to talk all about my regional bank trade. Let's talk all about that. We got a lot of action going on right now as we speak. All day long, it's been happening. So let's talk a little bit about it. We've seen ourselves rally all day long, just climbing that wall of worry right back up. We were at 416 yesterday, right? Well, we're back to 414.30s today. Made a little bit of a run there. We'll see if we start turning around here, but let's talk a little bit about my trading action on the day. A lot to talk about. So first things first, let's just take it how it goes, right? Let's first talk a little bit about what we were able to get into. We got into KRE. I'm still in this one, team. And boy, is this one been taken off, team. Definitely smash the like if you guys are excited to talk a little bit about some regional banks. This was a nice move here. We got in this one originally at 42.99. Was able to take some profit on the first move, kind of more in that day trading size. But as we pulled back, of course, I actually added to this on the VWAP, looking for the move higher, and now have sold that piece right when we got up there towards the 44, and then sold more into the 44, 49 spot. So it's been a great day here for KRE for me. I mean, it got really close to that 4% spot, and 4% for a day, I will take a lot of those profits. I still have a piece of KRE, and this is from an average now with that ad that was at the VWAP at 43.07. We'll look to see if this can continue to run, but take a look at the daily chart. Nice little move back above the 43.65 area. Talked about that on live trading. Like always, you guys can keep up with all the action that I do. If I don't do it here, I do it in live trading, baby. So I want to see you guys over on at live trading. Of course, that starts up every weekday, starts at 9:05 a.m. Eastern. Let's talk a little bit about some other ideas that are going on right now. And of course, some other trades that I was able to take some profit in, right? Let's talk a little bit about some other ones. Not everything going into the green. One that I didn't get into the green today was Sound. As this turned around, got out of the swing trade. Of course, we took some profits yesterday, so took a hit today. With the kind of hit that I took today and the profits that I took yesterday, they kind of just cancel out. I'm slightly in the red from this trade, but really not much on this one. Sound AI was looking for the move above that 3. It turned around here, as you guys can see. So not everything in the green today, but we still got some other ones to talk about. We also took some really great profits in DXCM. Dexcom, nice little move up higher in this one. This is a diagnostics and research stock that I've been talking about. And the main thing is I'm looking at the industry, not necessarily Dexcom here. Looking at the industry, starting to move higher here. And I, of course, have been already in DHR. That one pulled back today a little bit. But the real one that I took also, DXCM, nice little lift up today. Had to take some profits in this move. You guys can see how this pushed higher. Took some profits at the 122.31. So that was right around here. And you can see we've continued higher on this one. I'm up about 4% on this name. If I can get to 6% or 5%, I'm just going to take it off the table, especially if it's been that quick with a nice little big green candle, because of course this could reverse right back towards 120. But I got this one from 118.63. Going to continue riding a healthcare and diagnostic move here today, and healthcare in the green today. But what's a big area that's in the green there? We'll talk a little bit about that on what was hot and what was not today. Let's keep it going. And of course, I have my guest today who will be joining me, of course, at 3:30. We get Option Mike on today. So stick around, team. Can't wait to see what he sees in the market. Let's keep going. There's more trades that I have on. Of course, we also have AAL. This is going really great for us, team. I have not taken the trade profits in this one. I'm just continuing to ride this one. We're already up about 4% on the name. I talked about this one on pre-market prep also. And what I wanted to do also for you guys today is kind of bring you a little bit of what happened this morning, right? So you guys sometimes hear me talk about these trades. Let's hear what I was talking about this morning with none other than Dennis Dick.
$12. The thing's trading with a PE of 4 right now. And I mean, the earnings, like they're upping the guidance. And so the quarter wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But now they're upping the guidance, and the stock just does not get any love whatsoever. So one of two things is this company is just way wrong in their forecasting, or this market is way wrong in not believing them. But this market is saying BS. That's what the market is saying to the guys, because it would not be trading down 54 cents if they really were going to make $10 to $12 this year. The earnings are cyclical. So again, if we go into recession, those earnings will drop very, very rapidly. So the market is basically saying, no, we're going into a recession. UAL ain't going to hit those numbers. You think we're not going into a recession? If you think that, UAL might be the best buy that's out there. If you think that. I've not bought it because I'm still kind of in the recession camp. Although I've added risk, I'm still being cautious with it. But if you believe in the soft landing, if you believe that the recession isn't coming, you got to be buying UAL. If you believe that, that's an if. And then people will take this and they're going to extract and just say, oh, Dennis said buy UAL. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you are the rah-rah bull, this has got to be one of the best buys out there. If you think the recession is not coming, I got to think UAL is a buy here.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the second time, right, that they're giving this kind of outlook forward for their fiscal 23, right? Second quarter. On their first time that they released this, they got a pop. They got this pop right here. It was right here. I can still remember right on the chart, right? That's that gap up that you see here. But as we can clearly see, what happened was UAL gave that outlook. It kept going. And then what did they do? They turned it around when it was up here and then gave a kind of a hit down to their first quarter outlook. This was due to the kind of like the pilot situation that they were going through. But I agree with you, Dennis, that they just don't believe it, because
they don't believe it.
That's just exactly what it is. Because if not, I mean, that EPS outlook looks amazing. And this is how you can sometimes get a little bit kind of fooled by just looking at this. And I think that we have to also compare what's happening in the price action. Price action doesn't look great in these airlines.
It looks terrible, the price action.
Yeah.
There's two different things happening. It's fundamentals versus technicals. The technicals don't 100%. Look good. And they are telling you that we don't believe anything that UAL is saying. That's what the market is saying. I don't know if the market's right or wrong. UAL should know their company pretty good. You'd think they would know their company pretty good. Yeah. So, but the market says, no, we do not believe you.
Mute trick. Well, a lot of that was this morning on pre-market prep, and like a lot of that is just what I was taking a look at, right, on UAL. I thought their earnings were pretty good and they could get the lift. I know they got hit yesterday because of the Love report, but you guys can see. Let's talk a little bit about that AAL today and United. They're taking a nice little lift off here. AAL now pushing here at 1366. UAL up there towards almost 46 today. Did hit their 45.98 on the upside action, shaking all that little downturn here right before the open and really kind of giving you that nice little lift here on UAL. So for me, I'm going to keep holding on of the airlines here. I think they could keep pushing. Of course, one of the things is where will I take some profits? I definitely will take some profits along the way. But of course, American Airlines can get moving here. So if we look at American Airlines, we're up there to 1365. I'm going to look for a nice little push here into the 1450 area. Then I can take some profits, or just look for the gap to fill into the 1420. That doesn't look too bad either. As soon as this gap kind of fills from the downside guidance, we can fill that right back. That'd be a decent move here, especially from kind of where I got it, really close to the 13. That move alone will be an 8% move. So if I can get 6-8%, I'll take some profit off and then look to see if I can get this all the way back up to 15, 16s. this could really get moving. This is going to be more of a longer term swing for me on American Airlines. Not going to be trying to get to the profits too early. We'll find out what happens here on an airlines. All right, let's get out of American Airlines. It's some other ones that I have, of course. I also have Gilead. And Gilead just made a recent move that I'm liking here. Of course, this is in biotech, and I was looking for this to kind of hold 83s and really wanted to kind of add in low 83s. And today we got this lift into the 84s. Have already a good position from 83.39s. Going to look for this one to continue riding higher on the daily trend. If we can just get into the 85s, that's going to be where I wanted to go ahead and take some profits and then look for this to kind of really push higher into the 87 spot. We'll see what happens here on Gilead Sciences, but the chart doesn't look bad. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's keep rolling. That's enough from my trades. Of course, we can take a look at one more. I have Honeywell, but that's going well for me. It isn't looking too bad, but it isn't also far from my entry. I just got this one at 197.28. We're at 198.37. This one's from yesterday. So just going to let this one continue to work. Of course, you guys know how I've been talking about GE. Will we get to 100? We're pretty close there. We'll find out. All right, let's get back to the overall market. SPY wants to push higher. The Qs are pushing higher right now. Let's take a look also at what was hot today. And you guys know how I like to do this. Let's take a look at the sectors. Real estate leading again. I don't look at too much in real estate, of course, but look at Prologis here. Nice little move up. This one doesn't look too bad. Now it's getting this little push higher from the 125. If you like this, it's a REIT. Well, there you have it. Doesn't look too bad right now. I'm going to leave this one alone, but let's get to the financial services, which is the second leading sector today. And that's why I was trading stocks like these today, right? I was trading even Goldman Sachs on the day trade action. Was able to play Goldman Sachs off of what? Off the sympathy play from Morgan Stanley. Of course, Morgan Stanley this morning was going straight down, but look at that V bottom from the morning all the way back up to where it was in the pre-market before it got the earnings report. So climbing that wall of worry, Morgan Stanley was able to get a little bit of a nice little day trade there on Goldman Sachs and probably could have held with my original entry. You guys see them here. It didn't even get back to there. So this one could have been a swing trade right back to the upside, but I just wanted to take some of the gains, especially in the day trade action. But financial services overall, not looking too bad today. Some of these stocks kind of staying in the strength. JPM doesn't look too bad. Bank of America now closing right back towards the open. The opening price, 30.03. We're at 30.09. Let's see if this one can start riding higher and maybe just holding this and just starts climbing right back. And if we take a look at, of course, the smaller banks, that's what we were kind of worried about, right? Some of these smaller banks that are in kind of the KRE. Let's talk a little bit about this position. Of course, I'm going to let the KRE continue to push higher as I have this one. And we're going to hold the swing from 43. This one can keep moving. Let's take a look at some of these smaller banks today. TFC, nice little move higher, right? It's not just one regional bank moving higher today. I'm going to flow through some names here. You guys in the chat, let me know which one of these names do you like in the regional banks? Or if you don't like any, hey, let me know that in the chat. I'm catching up with you guys right now. Jay, EKS, Walter, how we doing out there? What's going on? Milky Fade, Kenneth, you guys out there, smash a like. Let's take a look here. TFC, MTB, RF, Region Financials. Look at the H-band. CFG getting a little bit higher. FRC with a nice little takeoff to 1450. I was thinking about FRC, but I just said, you know what? I'll go with the ETF. That'd be good enough for me. So FRC, nice little day, about 10% move higher. FHN pushing higher. EWBC, CBSH, CFR, WBS. You know, it looks like a lot of these just kind of getting a nice little lift. Zion here, pushing higher. A lot of these names in the KRE looking pretty strong on the day. Of course, these are 5-minute candles, but look at the Bank of Ozark here. and they're all looking pretty strong here. So I don't see too much weakness. Let's go towards some of the other names. Of course, there's so many names in here. There's 144 names in here, but I could go through plenty of these, and I'm flowing through them just to show you guys the charts. And what do we see there? We see a lot of bullish trends, stocks above VWAP, making a nice little up move, especially recently. And why? Because the KRE is moving higher, financials moving higher, and being able to shake some of the worry out there. Look at Pac West. Nice little move there higher, right? A lot of the names that were worried, even getting the nice move higher. Let me see if there's any names that are in kind of the deep red today. So I'm going to go ahead and come down here to see if there's anything really in the red. There's only a couple NICs in the red, but you're seeing it. It's starting to make its way back. So a lot of names here, almost every single name in the green. I think I see two names in the red from 144 names in regional banks. So you guys saw the title today. Why did I go long the regional banks? Well, that explains it, right? It's called the market breadth, right? And it wasn't just one. It was a lot of them leading the rally today, and it doesn't look too bad to kind of keep watch on these stocks. Of course, there were some that even reported this morning and had some earnings. So let's just take a quick peek at those. MCB was one that I was looking at. MCB was up this morning, continued, kind of climbed back after a red opening here. And then also Western Alliance Bank Corporation. This is one that I was looking to see if it was going to be able to climb back after being really strong in the morning. It pulled back. It came back to the second layer of support. I tried to play it through the 38s. That one didn't work out. I was able to cut the day trade. But you can see it came back to 37, the second layer of support, caught that and rode it right back up there to the 40.13. We'll see what happens with these, but definitely regional banks coming back today and looking strong. All right, catching up with the chat. What's going on out there? Jay Rice, Wall reaction to earning was the reason. Yeah, it was the reason. But I think one of the interesting part is that kind of pullback action and then catching the lift, right? Because, of course, yeah, it was pretty dang high this morning. But I do like how it caught that little pullback and then came right back up. So they bought the dip, essentially. As soon as they came to that dip, they took the shot. Pack W, not a bad day at all. Milky Fade, definitely smash up those likes. We'll take a look. All right, let's keep going, team. We got some more to talk about. And, of course, Option Mike will be joining us in about 10 minutes here. So let's keep flowing through here. Let's go to healthcare names, as those aren't looking too bad. And a lot of this in medical devices. We've been keeping an eye on certain industries. And I think that that's the important part, right? What's going to play a little catch up in healthcare? We talked about this yesterday. I've been looking for diagnostics and research to really get strong. That really hasn't taken a real breakout yet. We'll see what happens there. Medical instruments and supplies, that pushes higher today, as this is playing a little bit of a catch up. And a lot of this off of the earnings report, of course, of ISRG. Look at that. Nice little push up there. So you guys can see Intuit Surgical, nice little push higher. We can keep an eye out on how this affects the industry overall. BDX starting to push a little bit higher. ALC is one that I'd keep on watch. RMD, nice little push up, coming back to the trend line. Can catch the throwback look. This one doesn't look too bad. I'll keep this one on watch for tomorrow. This is RMD. We'll see what happens in medical instruments and supplies. But medical devices, Abbott Labs reporting today, that definitely gave it the lift. And I've been watching MDT for a while, and now we're really starting to get moving here. So we'll see what happens with this one. We created this line on February 27th. So we updated it on April 13th, and now we're really starting to get higher. That was right here. I mean, we weren't really kind of pushing off, but we went above it, came back below it, held it, now really taking off. So missed this trade on MDT, Medtronic. I've had this question asked for me plenty of times. When would this one get started? Well, it looked like it got started and made that move here to the 200 and actually above, right? So now we'll see if it can hold 200 pullback. That's a pullback slightly below 84. All right, that's MDT. Let's keep pushing. KRE, let's go, baby. You got KRE in the PM today. Until an hour ago, very nice day trade for you. Hey, shout out to you, Gregory. Love to hear you being able to be what? None other than, of course, a winner today, baby. Winner. You got it, my friend. Keep pushing strong. All right, let's keep taking a look at some other areas. What else is making moves? Diagnostics and research. We'll look to see if that can actually get going or not. I do have some, of course, in there. Biotechs taking a nice little continued push. And I think that biotechs really could keep pushing higher. So like a day like today, IBB seems to really make sense for me. I missed this move earlier in the day, and definitely it's going to be a little bit of some hindsight 2020. But this hourly level off the 132, oh, that seemed like a nice opportunity for me in IBB on the pullback. We'll see if this can keep climbing higher and just kind of push through this level on the upside, back through the 133.80s, through the 134s, and keep your eyes on some of these names, right? Can they push right back up? We'll find out, right? For VRTX not having a bad day. Moderna's been getting hit really hard as of late. We'll see if this one can make a comeback. LabU stole the show today. Yeah, biotech bull 3X, not looking too bad. Nice little lift off of here, right? Healthcare. I still feel like healthcare can stay strong. BIB is one I definitely keep an eye on. This one for me has a tendency to really take off and has made a nice little push. I'm looking for pullback opportunities now, so I'm not going to come after it here, but definitely doesn't look too bad on the day. All right, we'll see what happens here to some of these biotech names. Of course, the names that I think could pull back a little bit, drug manufacturers, the major ones, and they pulled back a little bit. Now we'll look to see if they take off. So I don't want them to pull back too much. I want them to take right back off. So I'm going to be looking to see if kind of Lilly, Merck can have a nice green day tomorrow. We'll find out if they keep pushing, or will they just pull back a little bit further. All right, let's keep taking a look at what else is making a good move here. Gilead, nice little push up to 84.18. Just keeping an eye out on my trades here. You know, got money first, team. You know it, team. All right, let's keep taking a look at what was maybe not hot today. Communication services, not hot today. So not doing well there. Of course, this is going to be kind of your dividend players, T-Mobile, Verizon. T-Mobile doesn't look too bad, but it just doesn't want to really get going. We'll see what happens with this one, if it can actually move or not. Energy in the red today, so oil pulling back, and that's the question now. I think, you know, you're faced with, are you going to be thinking that oil comes back towards the 80s or 90s, or do you feel we go back to 60s? You know, that's really what we come down to. You know, I was looking at it earlier in the day. We got down there towards even like 78, 87. Now we're back towards like 79s. So we'll look to see, do we get back into the 80s or do we get into the 60s? This is what really determines it. And it's not really the 80s for me. It's more, are we going to go to the 90s or 60s? I think those are the two levels that I'm really watching, right? We were just in the 80s last week. We kept playing this range between kind of 72 and 80s, but I want to see if we can actually get above that or below that. That's going to determine a lot of the energy trade. Do I know which way it's going to go? No, I don't think anybody knows. The truth is OPEC keeps stepping in here with their kind of production cuts, which is not expected, and that's causing the kind of spike right back. But the truth is also, are they really making production cuts, or are they just pumping as much as they need? Probably is pumping as much as they need, right? So we'll see what happens on these oil trades. Will they turn around or not? I think this is one of those that it is trying to catch, you know, and not even come back into the gap and push higher. So I'll really be watching XLE the next week to see if we get a move, you know, through this kind of weekly high 87.74, or are we back below the 85s, making our way back towards the 80s? That would be probably crude coming down there towards low 70s into the 69 handle. I'll be watching to see what happens with a lot of this oil play. Of course, that was in the red today. Consumer defensives actually in the red today. There's some of this area that was green today, so I'm keeping watch on Walmart. And one of the moves that I'm watching is Costco's 500. Look how it's kind of setting up here on the weekly. Can we just break through that 500? I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, but I'll tell you one thing. I will keep this one on watch to see what happens when we get there back towards the 500. And you can see we've had like kind of higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Today, we kind of cut through a little bit of yesterday's low, but let's see if we can really get this moving and back through 500. This is Costco. All right, in a few minutes, we'll be getting into our interview. Of course, Option Mike going to be joining us in just a few seconds. All right, looking at this one, Ollie has remained strong, and another strong day here, kind of coming up, pulling back, and now really taking towards the upside. This is one I don't trade often, but is pushing higher and probably a forgotten name as these continue to lift. We'll see what happens on like Target. Can this ever get going back into the gap zone to the upside? I've always talked about it. I just don't think Target's going to do it, but it's held this pattern really well. You can see it every time that we kind of cut through, we kind of come back and recover. Let's see if this 160 can actually start holding. Makes its way through 170, has to go through all the way through like kind of 180s really before I'll be taking a look at it. But if it can do that, I'll be watching Target for some little bit of upside. Walmart has been trying to stay strong and hold kind of above the 150s, but fails on the last two attempts. So keep your eyes on Walmart. Will this just turn around here as it's been trying to get through the 150s and can't hold? We'll see what happens with these. But, man, I'm still having more and more nice little push here from Dexcom. That's continuing a little bit higher. I see some names like AAL pushing higher. That it doesn't look like a bad day for me overall. Just trying to keep watch to see if we need to take some more profits, right? I mean, this KRE, this could continue riding higher, but I'm also going to be watching to when we can get into resistance, right? So up here towards like, let's say 46, yeah, I'll probably just get out of the KRE. We'll find out what happens, but nice little lift off of this pattern. And I'm going to keep holding it, especially for right now. All right, getting out of the KRE, talking out of the sectors that were hot and what was not. Like always, you guys can always reach out to me if you guys are looking for certain sectors or industries. Or maybe you just see an area that's starting to get hot and you want to do a little deeper dive into it. Find out where the stocks are moving. You guys can always reach out to me at MoneyMitchBZ. Let's catch you guys in the chat. EKS, Jay Rice, XBI, flirting with the 200. Keep watch, of course, on the healthcare names. You guys know I've been watching those. All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring on, of course, Option Mike. Let's get into the action. Let's bring him on here. How we doing, Option Mike?
Hey, Mitch. How are you, man?
It's good to have you on today. Let's go ahead and let me fix up the background right quick. There we go. I haven't even been using it. That's why. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about this market. Looks like we got ourselves a little bit of a push right back to the upside, as yesterday we were up there in the pre-market, of course, faded off a little bit some, but we're right back up here and been climbing that wall. What happened today differently than yesterday, let's say?
Nothing. They're selling strength, they're buying weakness, and the market's kind of stuck in neutral. And that means you can't chase strength right now in this market, and you want to try to buy weakness. And the SPY has been beautifully holding the 8-day now for a while, and today it opened up right on it, and that was it. That was the low of the day in the first couple minutes of the day, and that was it. It was said and done. They're not making it easy. There's no volume today, guys. And the one thing I'd point out here, we're at 42 million shares with 30 minutes to go. This is just a lot of chop back and forth. They're not really willing to let the market release one way or the other yet. Whether you're bullish or bearish, this market's kind of stuck in a trading range with, for me, a strong bias to the upside right now, because they wanted to dump the market, they could have. And the other thing I keep talking about is the VIX has smashed its way below 18. It's at a 52-week low, and it continues to go down. Typically, in that environment, the market should be going up, and we're just not seeing it yet. So my thesis is eventually that will play catch up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now I think what we got to ask ourselves is, what's the worry, right? Because I think that, for a while there, the worry was, well, the banks.
Great reports from the banks.
Yeah. Are you in the camp that you think that we're kind of, I wouldn't say in the clear, but at least not looking at nowhere near as negative on the banks as we were and showing signs of confidence, if anything?
I mean, I always thought that these were a couple one-offs. We talked about it a couple times on your
Hmm.
show that these were some very badly risk-managed banks, and there's
Yeah.
probably another one or two of them out there, but it's not. It is not a systemic problem across the whole banking industry, and the big banks were always in good shape. And that's the one thing earnings have showed here is that the big banks are rock solid. The regionals that are reported so far, like Ally this morning, they're also in good shape. In fact, Ally's deposits increased, right? So that was a good sign to see there. I don't want to say all clear, but I think the risk factor of this developing into a full blown crisis is very low at this point. I think there still could be little bumps in the roads to go along, but I'm not worried about it. It's not something that has me worried about here in the market.
Yeah, I think that's the important sign. And I think that now it's kind of more what keeps us from, just taking off, right? I've been looking at the kind of 420-ish level on the SPY because, that would be 20% from the bottom.
Well, why
And
not
to
420
me,
tomorrow?
hey, right? Why not, right? I
420
thought
for
about
420
that,
day.
right? 420 on 420. Wouldn't that be funny? I'll
There
tell
we
you
go.
one thing. There'll be definitely some guys laughing out there for sure. But let's get into the market. I'll share your charts here. We can get into some of the plays that you're looking at. Option Mike, I know that you probably heard I did take a shot in KRE today, so we'll see what happens with that. Just going to continue riding it. I've taken, majority of it off now and just keep riding it up. But
I mean, there's a huge disconnect between KRE, the regional banks, and the big banks. I mean, that's something I think when you're looking at this, you need to realize. You got a nice bounce today up to the 21 day, but it shows you could only got to the 21 day on this chart. When you look at what's going on, you look at the big banks, you look at JP Morgan, look, it's brought all the weakness back. I mean, that was a report. So if you're looking for a swing trade idea, guys, I would never chase a bank up this much. Banks always come back, right? You never chase a bank. It's like you never chase gold, you don't chase a bank. But you look for it to come back, reconnect with the 8 day, and the market looks good. Then you take a name like JP Morgan because that was a blowout quarter. They hit on every metric. And despite how negative Jamie Dimon's been over the last month and a half, didn't show up in the earnings report, didn't show up their guidance. It didn't show up anywhere there. And you could tell by the move. I mean, look at this gap and go. You just look at the power in that move. You never see a bank move that much in one day.
yeah.
So, if you're going to look at that, I would look at that one. And, the one I like for a catch up in the big banks is Wells Fargo. Kind of lagged a little bit on earnings day. They had another good report, but there was an overhang they were talking to the comptroller on it about some finance problems. That went nowhere. And you can see it's starting to wake up here.
Yeah.
Another one, I wouldn't chase these, but I like what you're saying. I like the big banks. It's the little guys, I think, that are still, I always mess that up. ALOY, right? There we go.
Yeah.
Even though it's coming back, these guys, and they had a good report, not much of a reaction off of it. And I still think the best way to play those is what you were in. That's KRE. Just safer because you have less exposure to one name.
Definitely. That's why I thought about it today. I've been staying away from the regional trade, and it was a lot when the worry was big, right? I said that at that point, it made no sense to me because it felt very high risk, high reward. Yeah, there was some high reward, but there was also high risk. Now that we've seen so much sideways consolidation, I feel like I can at least have more understanding that, I could still get a tape bomb. That could always happen, right? But at least I don't want to be exposed only into one of those regional banks. Right. Because if that one does give their tape bomb, then, I'll probably just get wrecked. But at least with KRE now, I feel like, maybe one does give me a little bit of a worry, but with 144 names in the ETF, I should probably be okay, at least for the short term being. And so we'll see what happens with that one. If we can continue riding higher, we could stop talking about regional banks so we don't talk regional banks all show. What else you got for me, Option Mike?
Well, let's talk about some names that are showing some strength today. Let's talk more off the Apple. And if you're not paying attention here, Apple just broke the downtrend today, coming all the way from January of 2022.
Interesting to see. And I've actually been talking about if potentially could Apple be the one that leads us out, man. It's not too far.
Apple used to be a leader in this market. I was on a podcast this morning and I was on Twitter. I was talking about how, Apple used to be the name that had the most options traded every day. It was, every retail person traded Apple all over the place. It's been Tesla now for the last 6 months plus. But Apple is still a powerhouse in there. And, the only thing I don't like about today on Apple is the volume's low. When you get a breakout of a long-term downtrend, you like to see volume on that move to validate that there's people coming in. That said, it's not that far. I always like to go back and say, well, how far can we go? Well, let's go look back and say a weekly chart. I mean, this thing has room. It can run right back to the all-time high. It's not that far away from it anymore, up at 180. I mean, that's a nice little $20 move sitting on Apple there waiting to happen, or 13 now at this point if it wants. Earnings are 2 weeks out yet, so we got plenty of time there. So I mean, I would keep an eye on a name like Apple, because look at this pattern; it's holding it nicely. You actually have a sloppy W pattern here on the weekly.
I'm with you on option, Mike, on that. I was talking with Dennis about it, and I was saying that I mean, of course, Apple has some touch in the AI, but what if they come out with something good, right? And then, boom, all-time high is not that far away with an AI mention or something like that.
That's coming. I mean, this AI craze is not yet over, right? It's in a pause right now. AI, speaking of which, is kind of stuck here going sideways right now, and you just kind of have to wait for this. I would probably wait. Oops, AI, hit the wrong name. My apologies.
No worries.
There you go. It's kind of stuck here, and as long as it holds this 20 area, I think you can stay long it. But if it breaks below 20, you got to be watching this to get out of it. Because just as fast as momentum comes into a name like this, it can leave it in a heartbeat and leave you sitting there wondering if it's ever going to come back. But for me, this is a tough one. It has to break 30. It's just in a tough spot right now. They're not ready to buy it. I really prefer to stick with the big names. I know I keep talking about them, but look at Microsoft. You got this beautiful chart. It's just flagging up here so nicely right now.
Yeah.
There's continue to hide in these big tech names, the Nvidias, the Microsofts, the Apples of the world. They're not really going into the weaker names right now, the growth names. And that, I think, part has to do with the Fed meeting coming up 2 weeks from today. And the angst over what's the Fed going to do? Is the Fed going to do it 0.25? Are they going to do more? Are they going to do less? I mean, market's kind of banking on a 0.25 at this point.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are banking on a 0.25, and then with that being said, I think that they're banking that's it, that's a wrap. And so with that being said, I think that that's really the market outlook, right? And I mean that's what we were needing kind of to really get this market going, was some certainty on the outlook for the Fed, right? I think that that's what really has gotten this even going further. I think that the financial crisis was more of an opportunity to do what? Just load more into tech names. So that's what, if anything, I think that's what happened during that time, right? Money rotated out of maybe out of those banks and just went into strong tech names.
Well, big cap tech that has money that is not going to be affected by higher interest rates.
Exactly.
That's what that comes
the big
down
boys.
To.
And I mean, and we've been waiting to see that, we know that this market loves to ride when our big boys make moves, right? And so that's what I've been seeing also. I'm with you. Microsoft, Apple being probably two of the strongest ones there. How do you feel about Amazon? I've been starting to get a little bit more of a turning outlook on Amazon, but what do you think?
It had a very nice candle today, right? Engulfed the previous day's candle, breaking above the range, still below the 200-day. This CEO has yet to have a really good report. And I think time is not on his side in terms of if he has to start to deliver, or there's going to be people calling for him to be replaced. And it really comes down to their AWS. And they came out last week. Yeah, it was last week, and said they expect headwinds for their AWS in the short term. Well, that to me sounds like you're already warning about your earnings coming up, that you're not feeling confident about the numbers you're about to report in a week, next week, right? And there was no additional compensation given to the CEO, which tells me that the board is saying, he's not doing a good job, and we're not expecting good numbers either, so we're not going to reward him anymore. That said, a surprise, and it takes out the 200-day. You're right. This one can start to play catch up. It's been asleep for such a long time, Mitch.
Yeah, and it's a favorite name. Let's just be honest. It's in a lot of portfolios, and that's one thing that I think about also. When a name is in a lot of portfolios, we're getting tax returns coming back, and we start looking at where do we start adding in our portfolios. Normally, it's at the top, right?
Yeah. So it's not, if you're in it long term, I don't think there's problems. I'm not worried about it long term. I'm just thinking that they're already sounding, the way they talked last week to me gave me some concerns that they're not expecting a good report. They're trying to, they're trying to soften that, pre-soften that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep a watch. We'll see what happens on that Amazon. What else do you got for me?
Well, I'm not a big crypto guy, so please don't come up to me on crypto. But I do know one thing: if we get a run again, and this is the start of a big run up in Bitcoin specifically, because I think that's the one you have to watch, because that's the big, the big 500-pound gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
These names like Riot and Mara can go absolutely nuts, and they tend to front run crypto the move and start to keep going ahead of it. You're getting a pullback here on both of these, and you're back down to the 12 area. If it holds 12 and Bitcoin remains strong, this was something I would consider a small bet on. I would go out in time, maybe buy some long-term options or just a little bit of stock. But we've seen moves on this, and this is what you have to realize is when this thing decides they want to go, and I don't know that it would go like this again, but I mean, look at these moves up into 80 the last time, and the time before it ran, and they just pile into these names because this is the only way they can play Bitcoin without having to buy Bitcoin itself or trading futures. Now you can buy BITO, but that's not a really heavily traded ETF. So, I would just keep an eye on this. I would have this there going forward. The other one I would keep an eye on, and I'm a little less loving it, is Coin, only because Coin has a bunch of issues out there at this point that are concerning.
Yeah.
It couldn't fill this gap, but if it gets up back towards that gap around 72.50, you got an easy trade back up to the 77 area. It doesn't sound like a lot, but man, I would be keeping my eye all over this, especially on a hold of the 200-day.
I think Coin is a rent only, but I think those other ones could be, trades a little bit further too. I think that you're right on that pullback. A lot of people watching Riot, a lot of people watching Mara, watching all the miners, right? And let's just be honest, it seems like Bitcoin's really entwined with the way that tech stocks move. If we get tech stocks that want to go higher, well, we might get Bitcoin to go higher. And if Bitcoin goes higher, well, it looks like the miners will go higher also. So
my one friend who's a big crypto guy, and he said these are cyclical patterns, and he says, if it's like the last couple times, we just started a new bull run in crypto. And he said, and again, just to stress it, he said, if it's like the last couple times, if it's not, then this will be different. But the timing's there. He said, it's just kind of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, we do. Let's keep rolling.
Let's talk Tesla for tonight. You got a minute?
Yes, Tesla. So, what do you think?
I think that the implied move on Tesla is about the smallest I've seen it ever.
That's interesting.
Currently only at $12.60. It was at $11 this morning on a $180 stock. It was about a 6% move. When was the last time they expected Tesla to only move 6%? And I bring this up to you guys because the market makers are pretty smart guys. They never, ever want to lose out, right? They never, ever want to lose out on money. So they're saying they're expecting a muted reaction to Tesla tonight. The options market's saying that. Now, the options, if you look at them, they're slightly jaded to the call side in terms of buying on it. There's the IB and the pricing there. But if you look back on the last couple of times we had earnings, you got much more than a 6% move, even on the bad moves in each way. So I think tonight that the market's saying that we're not going to get a big move. So I think you have to watch the numbers tonight. And let me pull up my notes because I'll be trading Tesla after hours here. We always do in the room. We're expecting 85 cents EPS, and I think that is the number to watch. Forget about the revenue number just for a second because we kind of already know the delivery numbers have been good. So we got to assume the revenue numbers are going to be in line with because they've already front run that. But an 85 cent EPS, if they beat that big and they talk about good margins, you're going to, because that's what the worry is. The worry right now on Tesla is all on their margins, all these price cuts, if that's going to keep coming. So if they blow that out today, that thing should ramp, and it could ramp big. They can catch everybody off guard, and we haven't seen the market makers really get hurt yet. And, they always get hurt once on an earnings. There's always one name early in the earnings season that comes out there and absolutely destroys these guys, and then they make everything much more expensive after that on IB. So this thing could easily pop 20 plus bucks. I even think the 213 level if they really have good margins. The other thing to realize is the call is at 5:30 Eastern. You got to listen to it because that's when some funky things come out. So whatever you're thinking in, don't feel comfortable sitting it because you never know what's coming on that call.
Yeah, the call definitely, things move. Elon starts talking and all hell could break loose.
Exactly.
But definitely, I'm with you. That's a surprising outlook there for Tesla. Actually, kind of looking at no volatility. If anything, that's when we've seen Tesla be at its most volatile, right? Is these earnings reports. So we'll see what happens. I feel like we're kind of stuck in the middle a little bit, maybe a little bit closer to the upside than the downside, because I've been watching that kind of like, like 155 gap area to see if we ever come back into that space. But I think above 200 is also a level to look for, because above 200, this could start riding higher.
You have a cup and handle pattern that's been going on for a long, long time here. Nice cup, and here's your long, long handle. So I think the risk, in my opinion, and it's my opinion, is worth $5, the price of a latte, guys. But I think the risk is to the upside, not to the downside. I think people are expecting bad news from Tesla tonight, and that might be part of why it's been held down here in the market. I think the risk is if he blows out the quarter and it catches everybody off guard, and the risk is for the bigger movers to the upside. But we'll see.
Somebody say latte.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. We'll see what happens with Tesla tonight. I definitely going to be keeping a close eye. I'm really excited to see some of the bigger other tech names, report, and we'll start getting closer to those names. Tesla's going to be something definitely to look at. We'll see if they mention anything big about the Cybertruck and how that's kind of rolling along. I know they keep quiet about the semi truck. Well, man, do they keep quiet?
Don't they have their shareholder meeting in May, the Cowboy Rodeo again, or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, that's probably where they're going to hold a little bit of this. So we'll find out if Tesla can keep pushing. What do you think about them cutting their prices so much? Is this going to be a sign of concern in the long run?
The question is this, are they trying to spark a price war, which GM and Ford and Toyota and all these other cars manufacturers are going to laugh and say, come on, bring it. We can do this game all day. But it will drive the small guys like the Fiskars and the Lucids, who are both cash strapped and not getting much out there. They'll probably drive them out of business.
Yeah.
But is it because delivery is soft and they're just trying to make sure they keep up with the demand because they're trying to, get a lot of product out there? The other option that's brought up is that he's trying to get market shares because he's going to sell them software and services updates around the cars. So I think, for me, I think that demand's a little bit softer than they expected. And they're also trying to keep everybody else from getting a foothold in their space. They're trying to keep them maintain their spacing here.
Yeah, they have to maybe make their slice a little smaller so they can continue getting the majority of the pie, right? And then that's their outlook, and I think that's going to be their outlook looking forward. And I agree with you. It's probably a battle between Ford and GM. Like, well, just watch how cheap we can manufacture compared to how you can do it. And I think that's going to be a battle that at first Tesla will win, right? We kind of expect that, right? It'll take a while for Ford and GM really to make those cheaper vehicles, especially we've been seeing how their kind of EV products have been going.
Yeah, but once they get a handle on it, look out, because they have
exactly.
They know how to, they don't have.
They know how to ramp up, right?
Yeah, but remember, Elon, to his credit, went through a tremendous learning curve on how to ramp up production and do it, and a lot of growing pains, and he figured it out, and he gotten very good at it. These guys already know how to do it. For them, it's when they finally have it right, they flip the switch. They have the marketing behind it. They have the service centers. They have the sales offices. They flip the switch. But we haven't seen that yet.
All right, Option Mike, I'll give you one last second here before I get you out of here, so you get a couple minutes before the close. Anything else you want to wrap up with?
Guys, I think you just got to wait for this market to decide to pick a direction right now. And I know everybody's, either very bullish or very bearish. I lean bullish at this point. I'm, fully honest with you, but the market's stuck in neutral. As you can see, we're selling back down here a little bit today. And, you just kind of have to wait for the market to pick a direction. Right now, it's a little bit of a rudderless ship. And if you're over trading or just trying to load up here and you're wrong, you're going to be crying. So be a little careful and wait for something to set this market loose.
All right. Like always good to have you, Option Mike. You guys keep up with him and go enjoy some Tesla earnings, my friend. Hope you kill it.
Thanks, Mitch.
Have a good one. Take care. All right, that's going to do it for us. We're going to start wrapping up in just a couple of minutes. Like always, you guys smash the like, put up some tickers that you guys are looking at. I'm already seeing that little downturn that we just kind of talked about. Let's take a look here. I'll put up my chart. You guys can see KRE already starting to turn around. Glad I took some profits around that 44.49 because it was really close towards the top of the day. Didn't get the top of the day, but you can't be mad about that. DXCM though, top trade though for sure. Look at this takeoff to 124. This looks really good for me here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to actually take a little bit more profit as we're up about 4.34% here. Really wanted to get towards 124 to get to that kind of 5% area. but we're almost there. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take a little bit more off here just to pay myself. And I mean, you can't be mad, right? I feel like I'm a little picky there if I'm looking for the 124. So I took 123.82s right now, took half off of what I had remaining. That was about a fourth of the overall position. So I have about a fourth left. We'll just keep this riding higher. And of course, there's nothing wrong with paying yourself, right? Gilead moving higher. We'll look to see if this one can get into the 85s and really start pushing. That's where I'll take a little profit on Gilead. We'll keep watching this one. AAL, that's not looking too bad. It is pulling back. The SPY overall pulling back a little bit. Tesla. What will happen tonight? Definitely getting a little bit red here, as probably you're getting some profit taking on the recent little rally in the intraday action. It's going to be all about that Tesla tonight. So you guys, like always, find out what happens here. I'll see you guys bright and early on pre-market prep, of course. We'll have Joel Elconin. Dennis will be out, so I will have to do the rants. What? Yes, I will be there ranting along. You guys catch me tomorrow morning. Pre-market prep. Hit the like button, team. What are the ones we get mentioned in the chat here before we get out of here? Tesla's dripping. Yeah, it's definitely dripping there. We'll see what happens. I got some other ones dripping too, so I got to focus on the trades out there. Apple, though, what a strong day for that. That's not a bad move there compared to some of the other names. Microsoft holding strong too. Going to keep watch to see what happens with some of the other earnings stocks. Of course, we got our earnings calendar that we can just refer to here. You guys can see it. Netflix tonight, Tesla tonight, IBM tonight, Lam Research, Sands, Las Vegas Sands, Discover, definitely some to definitely pay attention to. And then tomorrow, AT&T, American Express. What will happen to these? Find out. TSM also, of course, that reports and definitely will be a little bit of a shaker tomorrow. We'll find out what happens to the Tesla Dragon tonight. And can it go down through that 178? Yeah, it could with the earnings. So find out today. Are we closer towards the 170 or the 190s? That's going to determine if I'm feeling a little bit more bullish on Tesla tomorrow. Find out tomorrow, guys. Hit the like. I'll see you guys, like always, right here on Start Swing Trading every single day, 3 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about some swing trade setups. We take a look at trades, right? And, of course, we get to those experts, traders like you guys out there battling in the hard work, right? Appreciate Option Mike joining me today. And I'll see you guys, like always, bright and early, pre-market prep. Hit the like button, team. And, like always, we've always got a lot more for you guys right here on Benzinga.